Oh yes, it's that time again, the time I share with you my top 10 G-Shock releases of the year. If you happen to be new here, hello, welcome, I'm Andrew, and here at Time Drops we absolutely love a G-Shock. We actually run through all of the latest G-Shock releases as they happen each month, and now's the time of year we collect every single one of them and try to come up with the top 10, which as you can imagine is very difficult and also very serious. I've been doing this for the past few years now, and trust me when I say it does not get any easier. The process itself though is very simple. We're going to go in reverse order, starting with number 10, working our way down all the way to number 1 being my favourite of the year. We'll share some details about each watch, what I like about them and the reasoning for their placement. So let's get cracking, shall we? Kicking off with some honourable mentions. These are those Gs that are very much big hitters in their own right and may well have made it into your top 10, but have just fallen outside of mine. There's quite a lot here, so bear with me as we do a whistle-stop tour of 2024. A couple of new members to the Master of G family to start. First up, the new Rangeman, the GPR H1000. I reviewed this one back in February and expected big things, to be honest. However, I felt it was essentially not much more than a beefed up version of the GBD H2000 from the year before, and for me also not a patch on the previous GW9400 Rangeman. Next up was the GRB300, a cool new Gravity Master. Again, coming stacked with fan favourite functionality. To be honest, I was originally planning to pick one of these up, but every time I went to do so, something was missing, and for one reason or another, I just ended up not pulling the trigger. That's just me though, very cool watch all the same. Next up is the latest addition to the G-Steel family, the GST B600. This was a slightly more refined model compared to others in the family, and one that was clearly trying to not only cater for those with smaller wrists, but also tap into the wider watch market with its integrated S design. A very cool watch in its own right, and one I know has been super popular. I have the GST B400 personally and prefer the larger dimensions of that one, but you can't really go wrong with the G-Steel of any kind. And this one offered something entirely new. Right, now time for some squares. Kicking off with the Hodinkee Square, which was a very cool drop for the culture. This 5600 released back in February and was inspired by various elements from the founder of Hodinkee's life as well as Hodinkee's history, all captured and wrapped into some cool vintage and versatile tones. Next up was another collab, the Black Eye Patch Square. Again, very clean and versatile colorway and a pairing that I've been a fan of since their first GA900. The navy and cream tones featuring that signature pop of orange just worked wonders on this one. The G5600BG-1, a special edition tough solar powered timepiece that combined functionality with sustainability. This featured a multicolored marbled style recycled resin using G-Shock's signature brand colors of black, red and yellow, which just looks so good in my opinion. The anniversary GMW B5000 next, one to celebrate Casio's 50th birthday. This is a full metal model that we all know and love, and I particularly love that blue and gold combination on its bezel and outer ring, a cool way to commemorate for sure. An even more premium square next with a black and gold MRG B5000 R-1. Just like its companions in the range, this one boasted an individually polished titanium and cobarium multi-pieced bezel, a DLC coated case and a sapphire crystal. However, this one was in fact the first MRG square to feature a rubber band, obviously coming stacked full of features too. Moving away from the traditional square, more of an oblong next, 2024 gave us a new entry-level G-Shock in the GD-B500. I reviewed this step tracking timepiece and it was a real joy to wear, to be honest. This is a very solid option if you're looking to pick up your first G-Shock. Similar story with this next one actually, the GA2300. Another one that dropped this year, another one I reviewed, and another very solid entry-level G-Shock. Designed for those with smaller wrists, really like the look of this one, especially with that X flashed across the dial. And the grey and orange combination on this one in particular was wicked. MTG Storm Chaser next, the latest B2000 to receive the Rainbow IP. Very cool strap on this one too, which utilised that same mixed moulded resin technique in black and white to reflect the effect of a storm, and again making each watch's pattern unique. If you're familiar with the channel, you know I'm a big fan of this look as I've personally got the MTG Blue Phoenix, so it's always good to see more of the same. More metal, this year also saw the introduction of the GM700, a stainless steel version of a model that's been so popular for so many years now. I particularly like the purple of this one, need to check one of these out up close soon. Speaking of popular models, 2024 also saw the return of a classic trio of 6900s, a whole load of nostalgia here for me. 3 models that were right there in the mid-noughties when I was first properly getting into the brand. Right, we're getting right down to those that were literally on the fringe of my top 10 and on another day could well have made the cut. The GA B2100 CT-5A, the much loved fully equipped CASIOAK in a brown colourway I'm a big fan of, featuring a cloth band for extra comfort. These ones turned out to be pretty popular, however didn't release worldwide, which is odd. Imagine they would have sold a whole lot more if they did. Keeping it Casio, we also saw a more affordable option for the full metal CASIOAK fans with the GM2110. I reviewed this one recently and put simply, this is a great watch. One that sees many of the qualities we love about the OG full metal CASIOAK at half the price. This seamless silver in particular is an awesome colorway too. Right, we're getting there. 3 quick collabs and then we're into the top 10. The Earthwatch Mudman being the first, and what a colorway this is again. Inspired by the Blackiston's fish owl, the largest owl on Earth, this model boasts a cool mix of black and brown resin with popping gold and yellow accents, plus a whole load of functionality too, with the main highlight being that duplex LCD display. Sticking with the birds, a very cool and recent drop was the penguin-inspired Charles Darwin Foundation Casio. This GAB 2100 not only has an awesome colorway, but also a number of nice touches inspired by the Galapagos penguin, including a silhouette of the island on the dial, an animal silhouette printed on the band, and most importantly, a penguin sub-dial indicator, which is just fantastic. Last but by no means least, the Kanoa Igarashi GLX 5600. This was the third G-Shock model with the Pro Surfer, and it definitely did not disappoint. A limited edition G-Light that featured a bezel and band made of mixed black and grey resin, a nice and bright positive display with a popping gold border, as well as a metal face protector. Just as I said when I first reported on them, of course this surfing model is packed full of features to help those hitting the waves, but also just an incredibly good looking G-Shock. I know that was quite a lot, but there are literally hundreds released each year, and now hopefully you can see why it takes so long to make a top 10, let alone put them into any kind of order, but here we are. By the way, just quickly, there's no strict criteria to all this. It's purely my opinion, as you can probably tell. Your top 10 could well be completely different, and in fact, I'd be keen to see it. So at the end, let me know what your top release of the year would have been in the comments below. Okay, let's go. Coming in at number 10 is the King, the GX56 from G-Shock's two-tone utility series. This was a very rugged and ready release that featured black bezels, brown and khaki bands with orange and yellow accents throughout. Not only did these arrive in very cool and versatile colorways, but perhaps most notably, all models within this drop featured positive displays, which firmly put them into that category of a daily tool watch, and also meant this was the first time we'd seen this on a GX56 for some years, which went down an absolute treat. Every watch in this series looked good to be honest, but the King took the crown for me. I mean, this is just a proper G-Shock, isn't it? What an absolute beast. Priced at $150 as well, the GX56 has a huge following, and this one certainly didn't disappoint, which is why it sits proudly at number 10 in mine. Now let's move on to number 9. Next up is the CASIOAK from the Hidden Glow series. I'll be honest, I didn't put enough respect on this series name when they first released. Not that I bashed them in any way, but I felt like I didn't do them enough justice or give them the hype they deserved. Anyway, every watch in this series features a cool grey tone with an off-white dial. A great combination on its own, but when the lights get low, we have a whole load of illumination, baby. Some partial and some full, which looks especially good on this GA2100 as well as the 6900. The latter is actually my favourite G-Shock model, and I've actually recently picked this one up. Ordinarily, if it's involved in a series, I'd always go for the 6900. However, the lume on this one does nothing for legibility, it just looks very cool. Whereas it provides a whole lot of clarity on the CASIOAK, so that one just pips it. This watch is the real deal. Priced at $110 as well, this watch is simply great. Now let's move on to number 8. Okay, keeping things CASIOAK, next up is the all-new GMC B2100, the full metal chronograph CASIOAK. This fully analog model brought a new look to the metal CASIOAK lineup for those who wanted a bit more of a traditional aesthetic from their G-Shock, especially with the addition of some clean looking sub-dials and screw-down crown at 3 o'clock. This new GMC B2100 carries through most of what we saw on the OG GM B2100, including the likes of big hitters Tough Solar and Bluetooth. As you can see, I picked up this clean silver and black colorway, which had a retail price of $800 and was very impressed. I really like that they went chronograph with the CASIOAK and offered us another option here. There's a lot to dissect with this one, so if you want to check it out in more detail, I've got a full video running through everything it has to offer, as well as how it stacks up to the full metal OG. Anyway, an awesome watch at number 8, on to number 7, G-Shock and Bait. How are you liking these transitions, by the way? In at number 7 is the recently released square from G-Shock and streetwear brand Bait, inspired by the early PC era, giving a nostalgic nod to 1980s tech. As you can see, the design quite clearly pays homage to Apple computers from the decade, which also nicely aligns with the 1983 debut of G-Shock. This white DW5600 features a grey upper band, a clear band keeper, and a unique dark face with glow-in-the-dark graphics, with its inverted and green tinted LCD display mimicking vintage green screen PC monitors. Having worked in tech for some time, seeing a release like this was really cool for me. Priced at $150, this was another awesome drop that featured a whole load of technical nostalgia. Next up, another CASIOAK fix in at number 6. This is the GBM2100. which may not look too new on first look, but just like the fully resin and the fully metal CASIOAKs, this year the half metal CASIOAK finally received the Bluetooth and tough solar treatment it deserved. A simple upgrade for sure, but one that I feel now makes these one of, if not the best CASIOAKs pound for pound you can buy. But it's important to note that it wasn't just functionality additions here. The GBM also has a real nice new dial layout, loomed indices, plus a lot more options for a positive display. All colorways released within this launch were very decent, but this black and silver just gets everything right. Priced at $250 as well, one of the best all-round watches you can buy in my opinion. Again, I've done a full rundown of this one, so if you want to check out this model in more detail, be sure to head over to the channel and check that one out once you're done here. Now then, business end of the 10. Getting serious, aren't we? Next up at number 5 is an MRG B2000JS-1A. Yep, this is G-SHOCK's latest MRG B2000 model for 2024 and is inspired by the Jerryoku Maru-san, an original katana sword commissioned by Casio specifically for the MRG line. This watch was meticulously crafted to reflect the beauty of the Japanese sword, integrating a recrystallized hybrid titanium bezel layered with Ti64 and pure titanium, which then underwent a deep hardening process with a blue-grey arc ion plating to then again give us a unique pattern for each timepiece. This watch also had an incredible blue shell lacquer band which looks insane. Another element from the sword captured in this one was the diamond pattern on the dial, which nicely gave the watch an extra dimension. This incredible model was limited to just 800 pieces worldwide and in true MRG fashion had a price to reflect its craftsmanship at $8,000. This obviously marks the pinnacle of G-SHOCK and not the most attainable, however these releases are always to be marvelled at. In previous years, these annual MRGs have sat higher in my top 10. However, I feel like this is very similar to the 40th anniversary model. Not that I'm complaining about that in any way, I love that model, but it just feels like something we've seen before. Plus, I absolutely love this next four. Next up is a proper throwback. Swooping in very late and taking 4th place is the return of the OG, the DW5000R-1A. Oh yes, it's back baby. Well, this isn't an exact replica, but it very closely resembles the first generation DW5000C from 1983. And what's also very cool about this piece is that unlike other 5000 anniversary models we've seen here and there over the years, it's not a limited edition, so 5000s for everyone. This essentially carries all of the functions we'd see on a regular DW5600, but most notably a screw lock caseback just like the original. These are priced at $200 in the US, and as I mentioned in our latest episode of What's New, I'm sure for many G-SHOCK lovers, they're worth every penny for the nostalgia alone. This return is a huge deal and an awesome way to round off the year, I say. Right, it's time, G-SHOCK giveaway. As a thank you for all of your awesome support, we're giving away yet another brand new CASIOAK. And what makes this one even better is we're giving you the chance to choose your prize. Option 1 is the OG, the one that started it all back in 2019, the iconic GA2100-1A. Option 2 is that fully loomed dial CASIOAK I mentioned earlier from the Hidden Glow series. So whether you prefer a classic CASIOAK or one with a modern twist, if you win, the choice will be yours. It's totally free to enter. All you have to do is follow these very simple steps. Step 1, subscribe to the channel. Step 2, subscribe to the Time Drops newsletter by following the link in the description, entering your email and hitting subscribe. Step 3, comment on our latest episode of What's New. A link for that video will also be in the description. That's it, easy and completely free. Our winner will be picked at random and announced in our newsletter email in just a few days on the 7th of January. So make sure you don't miss out, follow all 3 steps to get your entry locked in ASAP. Right, top 3, let's go. Taking 3rd place, one of the biggest releases of the year, the MRG CASIOAK. In 2024, G-SHOCK finally gave us the pinnacle of the CASIOAK line with the MRG B2100B-1A. This new stealthy timepiece follows the MRG tradition and is crafted from the finest of materials, with its titanium construction not only making it incredibly durable, but also 43 grams lighter than the OG GMB 2100, its stainless steel counterpart. This model's bezel is composed of 27 individually polished parts, with the top section being made of cobarium. This is all finished off with a DLC coating and a sapphire crystal for its dial. One thing that was quite unusual with this one is that unlike other models that received the MRG treatment, this titanium CASIOAK seemed to go in an almost entirely new direction aesthetically from the 2100 line. Well, it was fully analog for a start, which meant that it had an addition of a second hand and the addition of a crown. It swapped its digital display for a date window, it had a new brick pattern dial, and a new position for its sub-dial. And in terms of functionality, this one comes absolutely stacked too, with all of those fan favorites I've mentioned earlier. And again, being at the top of the G-Shock catalog, these MRG Casios came with a price to reflect that. $4,800 if you want one of these bad boys. But yeah, it's probably worth every penny. What a beast this is. I absolutely love that it's finally here, and this colorway is absolutely spot on too. There's actually been a silver one released as well since, but I'm still preferring the blacked out OG. I need to get hands on with one of these ASAP. I'll see what I can do. For now though, on to number 2. Now, second place in my top 10 goes to the much welcome return of the GW6900 in collaboration with CASIOAK. This formed part of G-Shock's latest Love the Sea and the Earth collab for 2024, while also commemorating the 30th anniversary of G-Shock's partnership with CASIOAK, who are working to spread the word about whales and dolphins. I've always loved these collabs, and what a series this is. Featuring a white and gold colour scheme, these 3 watches showcase artwork by Hitomi Arata, depicting 30 types of whales and dolphins throughout. Again, all 3 of the models in this series make for an awesome watch, but as you can imagine, the 6900 immediately caught my eye, and the fact it was a GW, well, even better. What this essentially means is that in addition to all of the standard features you'd get on a DW6900, like a stopwatch, world time, countdown timer, alarms, calendar, etc., the GW comes with multiband 6 for radio timekeeping, as well as tough solar for solar power charging. 2 top tier pieces of functionality that make this already daily watch qualify even more as a daily. I run through the full story on my video about this one, but what made it more special for me was that my brother actually managed to pick this up for me while he was in Japan. Being a Japan exclusive, I thought there might have been some extra legwork in order to get this, but it just so happened he was there for a conference literally the day after these dropped and very kindly grabbed me one. Legend. As for the watch itself, I absolutely love this colorway too. The white, black and gold contrast yet complements each other so well, and it's always nice to know you're doing something good when buying a new timepiece. Such a cool watch with a cool story behind it, what it's all about for me. Now then, what's number 1? Let's see. Taking my top spot is none other than the incredible manga CASIOAK. I called it back when it first dropped. Alright, so I'm well aware it's only June, but this right here might already be the best G-Shock of the year. And it turned out to be true. Nothing topped this one for me. This absolute marvel is inspired by hand-drawn Japanese manga illustrations, and as such features printed black lines outlining the bezel, band and dial, giving them this real popping comic book aesthetic, which looks insane. This has also got a speech balloon as a sub-dial indicator, as well as a boom sound effect image upon its stainless steel case back. Since their release in 2019, we've seen a load of awesome variants of CASIOAK, many of which have featured on the channel, but none of them have come anywhere close to this. This drop actually launched with 2 models. There was also this really cool baby blue option, but I couldn't look past this white to be honest. This limited edition model was priced at £139, and it looked like there were only 300 to 400 of each colorway in the UK, so I'm very pleased I managed to grab one. I think I've said every single watch in this video is a cool watch, but this is such a cool watch. I mentioned in my review as well how seriously trippy it is in person. Even looking directly at it and seeing it in real life sat on my wrist, it still weirdly doesn't look like it's there. Anyway, as I've said, never seen anything like this before, and definitely the release that got me the most hyped in 2024, which is why the manga CASIOAK takes my number 1 spot as the top G-Shock of the year. So yeah, there you have it, my top 10 G-Shocks of the year. Did I get it right? Was I horribly wrong? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know which one your number 1 would have been. And finally, I just want to say a happy new year to you all. I wish you all the health, wealth and happiness in 2025. We've got some exciting things coming up here at Time Drops, and I can't wait to share them with you all. Don't forget to get your entry in for the giveaway, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.